Hi everyone, how's everyone doing here today? Thank you for watching, and today I wanted to recently talk about a politician named Vivek Ramaswamy. Pardon me if I'm mispronouncing his name, but for those of you who don't know, he's one of the Republican presidential candidates for 2024, and he's been doing some interviews recently. One in particular he did, I forget which news outlet he was on, but he talked about something whereby for the younger voters out there, they should be given a certain type of exam or a test, quite similar to the citizenship test that people who want to immigrate to America have to take. Now, on the surface, that may seem like a good idea, but in reality, it's not, because overall, notice how he's very specific about the demographics he's targeting. He's going after the younger voters, which begs the question, why? Now, this reminds me of a few years ago, I think it was shortly either before or after the 2022 midterms, when there was going to be the big red wave that was going to come and just sweep everything to the right, pretty much make everything red. That did not happen, to everyone's surprise. Because, and I'm only theorizing here, I haven't really looked at statistics, but I think a lot of younger voters, especially ones who recently came of age and registered, got in and looked at the whole package that a lot of these Republicans, were proposing, and even some of the ones that Donald Trump, who, wasn't running for anything back then, he was backing some rather not so great candidates, and finally they just said, I don't think so, and, pretty much shut it down. And it was quite fascinating to watch. And around that time, I think some Republicans were actually suggesting, I don't remember specifically who, saying maybe we should change the voting age from 18 to 21. Wouldn't that have been something to see them actually try and pull that off? The fact that they even suggested it speaks volumes, and it's very similar to what Vivek is trying to propose today. Okay? Why would you want to increase the age to 21? Let's start with that one. Why, you don't think the from 18 to 21, have the right to vote? That they're not educated or smart enough? I think they are. I think a lot of them are pretty intelligent and pretty much know what they're doing. Maybe they're young, maybe they're inexperienced, maybe they have to better understand politics, okay. But that doesn't mean they shouldn't be allowed to vote. And now what? Vivek wants to give them a test? And what if they fail? Then they lose the right to vote, and that's only to the younger voters. I'll tell you what, Vivek, here's an idea, okay? And bear with me, hear me out here. We should give the same exam to all the MAGA voters out there. The whole MAGA crowd, how many may be. Their numbers have been dwindling, but they still make up a good portion of the population. I think each and every one of those people should be given that same exam, that same test, to see if they can qualify. Because I'm willing to bet money that a good many of them wouldn't be able to do so. Why? And I'm not trying to say this in a condescending way, all right? Because I like to be respectful, but in this case, some of these people are really, really unintelligent, okay? From what I've seen on interviews at some of these Trump rallies, some of them say some pretty stupid things, just to give you an example. Some of them say, well, Trump is still the president, it's not Biden. But then when you mention so all the inflation and everything going that, the decision to go into Ukraine, that was Trump's idea since he's the president, according to them. Oh, no, then it's Biden's fault. Oh, okay. Some of them believe that Biden is not Biden, that he's James Woods or some other actor posing as the president for some reason, and that it's some deep state conspiracy. Some of these people still believe in QAnon. Some of them, I kid you not, believe that John F. Kennedy Jr. was still alive, and that he, I think it was about a year ago, he was going to come back, reinstate Trump as the president, and he would be the new vice president somehow. Don't ask me what would happen to Biden and Kamala. That's assuming they're even the real people that are currently in the White House. But you get the idea. And I'm not trying to say this to be insulting. I'm really not. If anything, I'm sympathetic, because I can't tell if some of these people are just really that stupid, or maybe they're mentally ill or delusional somehow. Bottom line is, it isn't good. Now, do I really believe they should be given this exam, which I would imagine a lot of them would fail and lose their right to vote? No, not at all. I believe in expanding voting rights. I believe everyone has the right to vote. I stress the word right because it is a right. It is not a privilege. If you're an American citizen and you're of the right age to vote, then I suggest that each and every one of them Go out and get registered and vote, not just in the general elections, but also in the primaries and even the smaller elections, not to get off track. How do you make the distinction between right and privilege? Real simple. Driving is a privilege, it's not a right. It's a privilege because you have to take a certain exam to take it. You have to have certain training in how to use an automobile. Why? Well, because you don't want to get into an accident or something, and you need to understand the rules of the road. With voting, you don't need to take an exam like that. I think it leads more towards education, which I think that actually is an important issue. Again, not to get off topic, but if Vivek is so concerned about education, here's something that he could tell some of his members on the right to stop doing. Stop banning books. Stop trying to limit education, stop trying to whitewash history, and expand education, provide more funding for that, especially in the states that are, where they're having issues with education, which are quite a few. Now you're turning to solve a problem. All Vivek is trying to do is just, in the end, suppress votes, and something we've seen a lot from the right, ever since they've been buying into the whole lie about, stolen election, which is a hoax, okay? Wasn't stolen, Biden won fair and square. He just has to continue whining like a sore loser just so he can try and get his way. And that gives Republicans, justification to themselves to say, oh, hey, yeah, we have to restrict voting. Some of the stupid rules about, changing polling locations at the last minute, or that if somebody's in line and they're in, it's considerably hot, it's illegal to give them water. How ridiculous is that? Vivek, I'll tell you what, since you're so concerned about education, here's an idea. Why don't we give all presidential candidates, including yourself and the ones here, up to and especially including Donald Trump, an exam on the Constitution, whereby they're given a pad, they have to write all the amendments and give just a brief, 2-sentence explanation as to what each amendment is, so we can be confident that they understand the Constitution, okay? Personally, I think Vivek would be able to pass that, because, don't get me wrong, he is highly intelligent. I just don't think his heart's in the right place, okay? In the end, he is a Trump supporter. He is a Trump bootlicker. He's been making excuses for the January 6th and the 2020 election, and quite frankly, I don't believe he cares about the American people or the Constitution or democracy, since he's made this idea of trying to propose an exam to take away the voting rights from younger voters, which is just absolutely wrong. Okay, Vivek, you shouldn't be president, no matter how smart you are. Because I don't believe you're going to support any policies. I just believe you're in it for yourself, and you just want to suck up to this fascist authoritarian leader, okay? So let's not kid ourselves. Oh, and by the way, that amendments exam I was proposing, there's no way in hell Donald Trump could pass that. First, Second Amendment, yeah, he'd know that, probably. Fifth Amendment, maybe, but all the others, please. Because dumb as a rock, and like I said, I don't want to get off track here, but in the end, it's everybody's right to vote, and like I said, if you just come of age, register, understand where your polling locations are, and by all means, when the time comes, not just in the primaries, just not in the general elections, but get out and vote, okay, as often as you can, including the local elections. So, nice try, Vivek. I'm not buying it, and I can imagine most of America isn't buying it either. But please, tell us how much you care about education. Anyway, thank you for watching. I really hope you understand.